Everyone, my name is Paul Shipway, your 2024-2025 AMCTO President and the General Manager of Strategic Initiatives and Innovation at Middlesex County. I'm excited to kick off this next series of our Municipal Monitor Extras, starting with our Municipal Monitor Q3 issue and a timely topic for this local government week. Today, I'm joined by David Siegel, a well-known and respected Professor Emeritus of Political Science at Brock University. David has written extensively in the areas of public administration and local government. Welcome, David, and thank you for speaking with me today.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Paul. I'm looking forward to this opportunity.
It's great. Thank you so much. I want to dive right in. Your article in our Q3 Municipal Monitor, Municipal Government Then and Now, a detached observer's perspective, sheds light on how the sector and scope of local government has changed over the years. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Well, I think this is one of the major things that has changed with regard to local government and it's had an impact throughout the system. 50 years ago, local governments had an emphasis on hard services, the quality of roads and sewers and just and parks and things like that. What's happened over time is a much greater emphasis on the quality of life of the residents in the municipality. That's a phrase that you probably would not have been used 50 years ago. The focus on what we want to do is improve the quality of life of residents. That's not something that would have been thought of at an earlier time. And dare I say, Paul, that job title that focused on strategic initiatives and innovation would probably not exist at that time because local governments, the idea was what we do this year is basically what we did last year. That's let's not talk too much about innovation or strategic initiatives. We'll do what we did last year.
I appreciate that and glad the title could be of assistance in that example there. If I can take it a little bit, maybe one step deeper, based on your observations, can you tell us how staff council relations has and continues to shape local government and how those roles of municipal staff have become more complex with staff having to respond to increasing public demands and the changing nature of those relations?
Well, for one thing, the situation of counselors has changed over time. I mean, 50 years ago, councils in many cases were the old boys club. They were the local businessmen, professionals, or in rural areas, they would be the local farmers. And they all pretty much saw the world in the same way. So there weren't many basic disagreements on council. And that's where you get to what I was just talking about a minute ago. We're going to do the same thing this year that we did last year. What's happened over time is that there's much more diversity on council. And I don't mean, sometimes when we talk about diversity, we're talking about ethnicity and language and so forth. But I'm also talking about the basic way that counselors view the world is now more diverse than it was 50 years ago. So you have more conflicts among counselors because different counselors view the world in a very different way. And when you have those conflicts between counselors, that has an impact on staff because staff need to be responsive to the desires of council. And when there's divisions on council, then staff have to try to they have to try to get out there and deliver services and do the right thing, even in spite of the divisions that they feel on council. And council also now has a variety of different mechanisms of gathering information. So that I've certainly seen cases where when staff are in the process of providing advice to council members are checking out Google and they're getting the advice from Mr. Google about what they should be doing. And I think sometimes that's great, but we all know Google is a mixed blessing. And it's not just Google, it's social media generally has a real impact on counselors' views and counselors' perspective on things. And so, of course, staff have to be aware of what's happening in social media, even if staff might feel that the social media people are misinformed in some way, which might happen once or twice, you know.
Uh, Excellent points. And when I hear that, I just think of driving home the point of the importance of the professionalism of the administration. And really, I'm thinking of my AMCTO colleagues out there in the sector just delivering that professional advice. So really appreciate that feedback on that. I think I'd be remiss if I didn't ask a follow-up on the role of the CAO and strong mayor legislation as well. Could you also speak to that in the context of staff council relations?
Well, we're still working our way through the idea of the strong mayor legislation. Canada doesn't have a tradition of a strong mayor, so we don't know quite how this is going to unfold. It's definitely going to have an impact on the role of chief administrative officers and the role of senior staff because some of the responsibilities that used to be in the bailiwick of chief administrative officers are now handled by the strong mayor. And I'm thinking particularly of hiring, disciplining, dealing with staff, supervising staff is now the responsibility of the mayor. And that puts the CAO in an interesting position where the CAO is going to have to figure out what this new role is going to be. So that it will be very interesting as we learn to deal with this idea of the strong mayor system.
Thank you again for your insight on that. I want to shift gears slightly, but it likely ties into your previous comments on diversity of local governments. Looking back at local governments of the 70s and 80s, you talk about how there was the idea of the best government is the least government, and local governments being more reactive as opposed to proactive. What do you think are some of the reasons for the shift, and are there lessons we can learn from the past?
Well, I think one of the reasons for the shift is the difference in the types of counselors that I've already mentioned. You don't have homogeneous councils anymore. You have a diversity of views on the council that you have to work through. You have a diversity of views in the community. Members of the community are much more articulate in many ways, and they're much more inclined to speak out on issues. So I think that's been some of the main reasons for this change in councils. And councils now, you hear counselors and others talking about wanting to improve the quality of life of residents in the municipality. That's a phrase that I don't think would have been used 30 or 40 years ago when the emphasis was more on hard services. But I think it's a very important role that councils have in terms of what has been called place shaping. The idea that when you're a counselor, when you're on council, you are creating a place where people live and work. And that has an impact on the quality of life of those people. And you have to be aware of that, whether you're a counselor or a staff member. You have to be aware that you are creating a place that has an impact on how people live. So, and I think that's one of the big changes that we think of now that I don't think we would have thought of so much 50 years ago.
And that's great. I really enjoyed that component of your article on local governments contributing to community and placemaking and community outcomes. So thank you for that. Really appreciate that. Finally, seeing as it's local government week, what advice would you give to those who are interested in getting involved in the local government sector?
Well, I think local government is a tremendous opportunity to really make a difference in your own community. And I think local governments can do that in ways that senior levels of government, of course, have very important roles in Confederation. But in terms of making a difference in the daily lives of people, I think it's local governments that are closest to the people, to use the overworked cliche, but it's local governments that can really make a difference in that quality of life of people that I was just talking about. And because of the size and scope of local governments, you can, as an employee, you can really get a good handle on service delivery and being directly involved in service delivery. I would think it would be a great job in that sense. It really forces you to be a solid member of the community, which is a good, very good thing.
Excellent points. I know I've been in a president role now for almost half a year, and I've had an opportunity to travel around, meet our members and colleagues in the sector, and I just can't stop being amazed by the impact our members are having on our communities in the province. And I think AMCTO plays a critical role in that, and very appreciative for your insights on this as well. So with that, I want to be respectful of your time, and I'd like to say thank you, David, for sharing your observations and insights with us. For those watching, if you haven't done so already, I encourage you to read David's and other great articles in the 2024 Municipal Monitor Q3 edition, which is out now. Thank you everyone for watching. Please stay tuned for more Municipal Monitor extras to come. For those of you who may be interested in contributing to future editions in 2025, please visit the Municipal Monitor page on the AMCTO website for more information. Thank you again for tuning in, and on behalf of all of us at AMCTO, happy Local Government Week.